Alrighty. Hi guys, how we doing tonight? Alright, everything looks good on this end. So let's go ahead and we can get started. Alrighty. Hi there, Cynthia. Hi, Kim. Hi, Mina. Hi, Estella. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Steve. We are doing well, thanks. And I hope you are too. Hi, Desiree. Thank you, Mina, for letting me know that you can see and hear me. That is always a big help, because sometimes I start prattling on here and something's not working. So I really appreciate that. Alrighty. So, hello, Tim. Welcome. It's a wonderful night for a little bit of art. So we're very excited to do that. And thanks for everybody to be here. Hi, Truth Seeker. So as people are kind of filtering in and joining the live stream, we can kind of touch base on what we've worked on over the past couple months now. We've been working on this one. My schedule, as a lot of you guys know, has just been incredibly crazy. So I'm very grateful to be here tonight to work with you guys on this project, and can't wait to see what we can accomplish. Hi, White Wolf. Hi, Diana. All right, so we started with the eyes. We made sure that those were blocked in, and then we kind of start moving over to some of the other main features. This is kind of my go-to, not really rules, but this is a wonderful guideline that I use to create realistic wood burnings of wildlife. And I usually start with the same simple approach, and that's, outline lightly the main features, the eyes, the nose, the mouth. Go ahead and add a little bit of shading to those eyes. Make sure that they're going to work out before you spend a lot more time on the rest of the project. Then we'll jump around and work on that nose, make sure that that's pretty good. And then I'll just start slowly moving kind of from this area outward, making sure that I get the direction of the fur in place. That is really, really important. And since we're working on a two-dimensional surface, the direction of the fur is going to play a huge part in creating more of a three-dimensional appearance to the project. So really take your time. I do a light sketch first to make sure that the hair and the fur is going in the right direction. If I make a mistake, it's still pretty light, and I'm able to correct that later. One thing that I try to avoid is going in really heavily with a hard outline and a high temperature blocking in fur, because if you make a mistake, then it's a lot more difficult to work around. So this is a very complicated or complex project, more so complex, I would say. We have lots of different varieties of texture here. We've got the short fur, we've got the long fur. We're going to have some whiskers. I'll probably paint those in or scratch them in. I can show either way. We have our solid black background, which we've been working on. We have this little sleeping lamb, and we did a lot of the light wiggle worm technique where we just kind of keep the point on the wood and dance around to create that texture. And then we did a very similar technique to create the rock work down here. We loosened up our wiggle worm and technique and blocked in this a little bit more freely than, say, the lamb texture is a little bit tighter, if that makes sense. The paws, again, fur direction is huge on this. That is going to create the main shape of the paws and the arms. So just really make sure that you match your reference photo on that, and start off light, build up in layers. Yeah, so tonight I really want to get the rest of the black background in place and finish blocking in the rocks. Once we have all of the surface burned, then comes one of my favorite parts of the project, and that's kind of the refining and retuning of the values. So once we get everything blocked in, we'll go back and not quite burn everything all over again, but we're going to touch up and really focus on pushing our darks dark enough, make sure our lights are light enough, and then fill in those wonderful midtones that give such depth to the project. So that's kind of what we've done and what we're going to do in a little bit of a nutshell. So as people are filing in, I'm going to say hello to those that have joined in. Let's see. Okay. Okay, White Wolf, you're still having a hard time getting connected to our paid community, the Bear Den. Okay. Mina, what do you think? I'm just going to throw this out here. Mina and White Wolf, about just sending a personal check in the mail. I'd be willing to work with that. And something to consider. So think about that and how that would work, if that might be a possibility to get you over there if you don't have a credit card. Tim, you just got parked for the night. You've finally been able to make a live stream. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're here. I was not here last week and really missed you guys. Wonderful. Glad that you've been able to watch some of the previous videos, and that's why I like to leave those up so people can kind of get caught up. And then after a while, I take them down off of YouTube and I put everything over onto our paid platform on Mighty Networks. So definitely check that out as well. Hi, Rick. All right, let's see. Hi, Larry. Hi, Terry. All right. Hello, Lisa. Alrighty, so looks like everybody's there. All right, I've got my burners on. I think I'm gonna flip this thing upside down and we're gonna block in this far edge over here. We were working with the coal wood on that last time, and also for blocking in this area. The coal wood and the, oh gosh, I know, I need to just write it down. I have to show this off, guys. See this wonderful bowl? Isn't that so cool? So my stepdad made that. It's gorgeous. I think it's, I don't remember if it's aspen. I think it might be aspen. Anyway, I'm using it to store my little creations here. Not creations, the pens. Okay, so it is the small heavy shader tip is what I'll be using with the coal wood to block in this edge. It's really handy to put in these edges and kind of block in a bit of our fur as well. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Barbara. I guess I already said hi, Barbara, but thanks. Yeah, it's so pretty. I love it. Alrighty. So let's see if we can take out a little bit of that distortion for you. And I think normally we've been working with like a 7-ish, 6.5. I'm going to start with a 6.5 with that coal wood. Yep, a second hello is always good. He did use a lathe, Vivian. Yep. Okay. You're welcome, White Wolf. Yeah, just let me know how that might work for you. All right. So I'm at a 6.5. I'm going to start kind of down here and just make sure I'm not going to be too hot. No, that looks pretty good. Okay. So this has a nice rounded point to it, which allows me to get real close to that bark edge. I gotta do something different with that camera. I'm pretty sure it's an aspen, like an aspen chunk. Alrighty, here we go. That should lock that in. So at a 6.5, I kind of need to work fairly quickly here. I don't want to just set that point on the wood and leave it there. It will create those stop spots. Anytime you're working with a wire tip burner, they get quite hot if you use them at those higher settings. And because the wire tip, it just seems like they build heat so quickly, and then when you set it on the wood, you get that stop spot, that kind of instant burn. And then when you move the point, it gets lighter. So it can be a little frustrating to work with a wire tip if you aren't used to it. And even if you are used to it, just moderating your temperature and your stroke speed will make a big difference in that. And for those of you that are new, here a while back, earlier this early spring, I did a master class, kind of it was a mini workshop is what it was, on line work. So if you struggle with making consistent and even lines, definitely take a look at that class. It is a paid class. It's not very much. It's like $35, I think. If you are a member on the Bear Den, our paid platform, you get a discount, which is always very cool. And yeah, so, and I talk about creating line work with both a wire tip burner and a solid point burner. So if you're struggling or just want to practice your line work, that is a great class. You get downloadable printouts to work from, and it was a real fun class, and it's neat, and you can apply it to all kinds of different points. So it's upfront instruction, and then you can kind of take that and run with it and use that with your burner and point of choice, which is pretty cool. Thanks, Mina. Mina put the link there. If you go to Woodburning University, you can find more information on that class there on the home page. Hi, Vivian. Yep, I'm saying hi to more people. People more than once. I just don't want to miss anybody. Oh, I get sidetracked. White wolf. I do, yes, I do still offer custom orders. I don't take very many of them, but I do. And I'd have to take a look. I have a custom order page on Minisa Pyrography. That's my personal site. Mina might have that link. I think it's Minisa Pyrography / custom orders. And that will give you some information as far as sizes and prices and all that. Hi Oz, Art, welcome. Hi Michelle. So I like just this nice back and forth motion, and you can not sure if you can really see it very well on the camera, but every time that I set the point on the wood, I'm using that airplane technique. I'm coming in for a landing, and then I make contact with the wood, I travel, and then I lift off. And sometimes it is, you know, fairly fast motion there, but I don't want to just set the point on the wood and move it, because if I do, if I just set it down and move it, you're going to get those really big stop spots. So nice, consistent burning while traveling. Or you can turn the burner to a much lower temperature, and that will give you more control as well. So temperature and stroke speed are huge. So now that I have my line along the bark edge, I'm going to kind of create a buffer zone by making that line just a little bit wider. That way when I come back in with my other point, I can put the point flat on the wood, transfer a lot of heat into that black background without scorching the bark with the kind of the ghosty burn, kind of that yellow golden orange look. If you like the yellow golden orange look, that's totally fine. I like to operate a little bit more lower temperatures, more controlled art. So, but you do what you like to do. Let's see, Oz, you're doing a leather burning recently. A Marilyn Monroe. Oh wow, cool. That sounds fun. Cool. Alrighty. So we're getting this nice and chunky, the border. Oh wow. Desiree, you saw a video today about the Veil of Christ. You're thinking it has to be the most beautiful sculpture in the world. Wow. I think I've seen that one maybe. It is amazing, some of the realistic sculptures that are out there with, you know, transparent veils. Just amazing and beautiful. Let's see. Oz says that when you're burning on leather, you have to move faster. Oh, wow. Okay. That is interesting. Yeah, I've not burned on leather before. I have some vegetable tanned leather that was sent to me, but I just have never gotten around to trying it. I'm a little bit leery of the smell, honestly. That it might smell kind of like burning flesh. I love the smell of wood when burning. It's one of the wonderful benefits, I think, of wood burning, and it just adds to the enjoyable experience for me. But I need to try burning on leather. I think that would be a good thing to practice. So I'm kind of doing the same thing here, just increasing the buffer zone around some of the areas as we go. Because I create most of the black background with the shading point that comes with the Walnut Hollow Versatool. And I find that that just makes one of the more even, consistent, solid, dark backgrounds. But it takes a long time to create this buffer zone with that tool. You certainly can. And I've done that for years and years. But it just adds quite a bit of time. So I find that using the wire tip burner, the coal wood, to kind of outline and create the buffer zone, it just cuts the time down quite a bit on burning. Thanks, Oz. Yeah, we're we've come a long way on this project. It's quite large. I think it's like 11 by 17, so it's a big piece. Anytime that you have a larger surface like this, it just takes time. It really does. We have limited sized tools to work with. The points are generally pretty small, so you can't just lay down a big old chunk of paint as you would in different mediums. Pyrography is definitely an exercise in patience. Tim, you made it into the bear den. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. You're looking forward to hanging out and improving your wood burning skills from your truck bunk when parked at night. Wow. That is way cool. I bet it's hopefully pretty quiet in there too at night. Vivian is asking which point did I use for the lion's hair. It's the same one, the small heavy-duty shader. I like the control. I know we bounced around with a couple of the different Coalwood tips because I had just gotten the Coalwood when we started this project, but I think I settled on this small heavy-duty shader and liking it the best. I thought I had the best like temperature control and control over the point and all that. So all right, let's see. Try to get over here, finish this buffer zone. We have so much smoke. So I know that the Versatools wind up losing a little bit of heat over time. So I'm going to burn what I can and then jump over and make that buffer zone a little bit wider and kind of go back and forth. I think that that would be the best use of time for us tonight. Just trying to think about, I need to have it this way. All right, give me a moment to adjust. Let's see. Jezreel, yeah, you're welcome to post that picture on the bear den. I think that that would be some great artistic inspiration. Let's see. White Wolf is. Move that cord. You're working on a waterfall. You never thought so many details with water. Wow, cool. Yeah, I did a wood burning of a waterfall a few years ago, and it's very interesting and a different way to burn. A lot of negative space burning when it comes to water, because water seems to be just mostly light or white, and so you have to burn the water that is maybe influenced by other things, rocks, wind, light. So much of water is burning around the water, so it's a neat challenge, great practice for negative space burning. Yeah, and if you haven't been over to the Bear Den and you're new, or if you're new there, our online community is fantastic. We have lots of different spaces there. You go there and I wanted it to feel almost like you're at summer camp. With the way that it's set up and lined out. So we've got a community campfire, which is our kind of general chat. There's areas where you can share your finished artwork, kind of like in a gallery, little presentation mode. You can ask questions about business stuff. You can ask just general questions. We have a critter corner where we share pictures of our critters and beloved family pets. So it's really, really a fantastic area. Great to connect and engage with everybody. And I do apologize, I have not been on there much here of late. A lot of you know I've been coaching, and as an artist, and especially an introvert, it is one of the most difficult things for me is to get out there and, you know, be a leader and in front of people, and just that constant output is very demanding and can be quite draining on me. And it just takes so much time. So when I come home, I generally have to kind of recharge and distance myself from pretty much everything in order to recharge enough to go out and do it again the next day. So this is not a very good, let me say, this is a very difficult kind of a season for me. So I really appreciate everybody's patience. If you send me a message and I don't get back to you for a little while, please know that that's kind of where I'm at, is just dealing with making sure that I don't completely burn out and tank with life. So allow me a little bit of freedom to kind of maybe disappear for a little bit. That's a big part of my personality, unfortunately, is I have to kind of break away now and then I'll be back. And usually it's better if I have a reset and a break, and then I can come back and give you guys a better version of me. So don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here, and I love going on there and just catching up and seeing what you guys are posting. Again, I haven't been getting back with everybody, but I look forward to doing that soon. The coaching season and all that is like in the last 2 weeks, so we're coming down to the final stretch, and I really look forward to a break and doing art. I love coaching, and I love the girls, but it is definitely a challenging thing for me to do. All right, so as you can see here, I really focus on using the back side of the point more so than the front. The front is actually kind of almost lifted off the wood, so I'm focusing all my energy back on that shiny part of the heel there. And this allows me to transfer as much heat as I can with the solid point burner pretty nicely. It creates a nice shiny kind of a burnished look, and I just go up and down kind of in rows to saturate, almost you could say saturate the wood with heat. And I work in small sections. I don't want to rock the point back and forth like this, like a boat or a swing set, because then you're going to get kind of more denting in the wood. If you want a really smooth and even surface, just try to work in tiny sections, kind of like this. And if you find that you're accidentally burning into that bark, go back, do this again, and make your buffer zone just a little bit wider. And give yourself some more room. And so I'm setting the point on the wood, and then I'm leaving it on the wood. I'm not using the airplane mode for this. Just slow, steady pressure. But you can see I'm constantly moving the point. If you set it there for too long, it can kind of stick and pull off the surface of the wood. So we don't want that. We want nice constant motion. That constant motion will burnish the wood as it goes. Make it nice and shiny. All right. Let's see. Terry, You're saying anyone can join in on the live streams. Yes, the live streams that we do each Friday night here on YouTube are free to attend. And then I leave the live streams up for a little bit, and then they get taken down from YouTube and put over onto Mighty Networks. And a big shout out to Mina for helping to make that and so many other things possible. And I really appreciate her help. Let's see, Desiree, you've been a little bit AWOL lately too. Yep. That's a great quote. Yep, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. Very true. Larry, you say sometimes you have a problem in the chat. It seems it gets ahead of what I'm saying. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I know there is a little bit of a delay. On occasion, we do have a bit of a delay, so I'll try to do what I can to minimize output here. Alrighty. I can also come in here with the little shader and start blocking in areas around the fur here too. But I want to get everything to a point where I can just kind of go up and down with nice rows. They'll be columns, actually columns. And I know that hair is pretty stark, very contrast against the black background, but we will try to blend that in and soften it up a bit later. So Larry, you get better results with your wire tip when you want to do a black background. Hey, that's cool. Yeah, the wire tip definitely goes much quicker than the solid point burner. Just keep on working with these columns here. And then once we get in this skinny area, that will definitely go much faster. Larry says it's not as, the background's not as smooth as a solid point burner, but it is faster. Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Another thing to remember is that we want to burn with the heat and not downward pressure. It's easy to get a little impatient with the burners sometimes and want to press harder to make it transfer heat more. I have damaged points trying to do that, so certainly want to be careful and cautious that you don't press down super hard these points are quite soft and they will bend, which is kind of fun. So if you want to change them or modify them in any way, you certainly can. But I find that creating long columns or strips gives it, kind of goes with the grain and creates a much smoother surface than if you try to do kind of marching rows across. I did that a long time ago, and it kind of indented the wood. I was pressing too hard, and so you can still see these rows of ridges and the black background. Sometimes that's cool though. You can really have fun with the black backgrounds and mark them up, dent them, create heavy texture. So it's really up to you as far as how you want to approach the darker backgrounds. Okay, and then we switch to another one. So I've got 3 burners over here that are on and ready to go, and that allows me to rotate through them. After they kind of start losing their optimal temperature, they get a bit of carbon built up on the bottom, and so I just set them off to the side, pick a new burner, and let that old carbon burn off, and keep at it here with a more temperature appropriate tool. Ah, thanks, Mina. Yeah, you're saying the the smooth stone challenge is going well. Awesome. Yep, so the first Friday of each month we're doing kind of a study, a themed study, and the month of May were smooth stones, and we did seashells the previous month, and we did flowers and feathers. So each month we choose a new topic. And then anybody is welcome to create their own version and submit it into the Bear Den. And we choose a random winner for a little prize. So a lot of fun with that. So it's wonderful to see everyone's projects. Truth Seeker is asking if I've done any burning with your butane torch. I have not. It is still sitting right there on my desk. I haven't even had the time to fill it. So not yet, unfortunately. Terry, you've got the stone project drawn out, but you haven't started burning it yet. That's okay. We're only halfway through the month, so there's certainly time to get to that. Ah, Larry, yep, it's wonderful to have you here. I hope you've enjoyed your tutoring sessions. So I think that the last live stream that we did was the smooth stone study. And I think I told you guys that right before I went live, Chipper, the cat, brought in a chipmunk and set it loose in the house, and it went under our couch. So we did get it. It was a safe recovery and let me see, I'm gonna work in that area. And I wound up ordering these live traps, and they came in like the next day. And so we just set up a little live trap. It's like a little plastic tube, and it's got food in the one end and a little trap door in the other end, and they walk in and it closes the door behind them, and then you can just pick them up and take them outside and set them free. So unfortunately we have had to use that more than once since the last live stream. That cat is something else. But wanted to let you know that it was a safe and successful chipmunk rescue mission the next day. White wolf. Oh, that interesting technique for your wood burning turned out well. Cool. The Shao Siji? Neat. Tam, you were wondering about the chipmunk. You were watching that video yesterday. Yeah. No, he was just fine. He bunked out underneath the couch all night, and then we had those traps come in the next day, so he was successfully reunited with his chipmunk brethren. Okay. Alright, so we can continue creating more of a buffer zone down in here as well. But I am bound and determined to get this black background done tonight. Vivian, you've experimented with the butane torch trying to do black backgrounds, but you find that the burn is not the same with the pen, and so you aren't very crazy about it. Yeah. I have seen that, and I've kind of experimented with a larger torch. And when you create a black background or a black burn with a metal tool, it burnishes the wood. It makes it nice and shiny. So if you outline something like this with a metal tool, it will have that shiny look to it. And then if you try to save on time and switch to a butane torch and fill in the black background, the rest of it, with a torch, you're not actually making contact with the wood, and it creates a really flat black. So think about the difference between a glossy black and a flat black, and that's kind of the difference between burning with a metal tool versus a torch. And it's really difficult to marry those two sections, and when you look at it, it's like, wow, it's really noticeable, I find it, and can be a challenge to overcome. Some people will use like metal spatulas, or they use them in concrete work, little finishing tools, and they'll kind of use that as a heat buffer to protect your subject from the heat of the torch. So that's something that you can kind of experiment with as well. We are out of the frame for just a minute here. All right, we'll go back to our other one and get this finished up. That's great, Larry, that you're enjoying your tutor sessions, and cool that you have still a student on Tuesday evenings. Thanks, Truth Seeker. Yeah, I was just really glad that we were able to get that chipmunk relocated back outside. We certainly don't want him to not make it. Vivian, when using the torch, you say it smudges if you touch it. I wondered about that, if it would produce a little bit of kind of charcoal on the surface. I bet. Wonder, can you get rid of that a little bit, maybe with a air blower, so that it's not as thick? I don't know. Because then when you go to clear coat it, if you use a brush on finish, it would be really very smudgy. Tim has a curiosity question for everyone. What would you change about any of the big name wood burners to make them even better for what you want out of a burner? Ah, that is a very good question. I know with the Versatool, I always wanted to get rid of this big power box and put like a temperature dial right here in the end, so you could just kind of twist it to get your temperature setting and get rid of this heavier box. Frankly, a cordless wood burning tool would be darn handy, so we don't have to deal with the cord all the time. Or maybe putting a cord like on one of those old curlicue telephone cords so that you have more reach. I would like the solid point burners to have more heat to them as well. But like you say there, Terry, yeah, to make the handle not get so hot either. We want a hotter tool, but a cooler grip. Ah, okay. Yeah, Lisa, you've been using pan pastels, and you like the Krylon workable fixative spray. Cool. That's a good option too. Vivian, you can remove some of the carbon with a rag when using the blowtorch, but it turns brown. Oh boy. Oh yeah, I could see that because you're spraying, kind of wiping that off. You'd have to spray it with a fixative, but then you can't keep burning. Ah, so if you do use a torch on the black background, that would be pretty much the last possible step, because then you'd have to spray it with a fixative. Interesting. Yeah, you wouldn't want to burn over a fixative for sure. Let's see. White Wolf says the consistency of burning. Yep, that can be very challenging. Other changes to big name tools. Mina says more tip options. That would be cool too. Terry, you think that's why you struggle with the Versatool, is this big box? Yeah. Yeah, I agree. A cordless probably wouldn't be hot enough. Unless you had a lightsaber. They're cordless, and that would work pretty well. You'd have to turn it down, though, a little bit. Could you imagine wood burning a picture with a lightsaber? Wouldn't that be something? Alrighty. Alrighty, we're going to keep going. We're going to get this done. Is that the one I was just using? Yes. Okay. Ah, Tim, I wondered if that was part of your reasoning for the question. You say you're asking because you're in the process of designing one to build for yourself because you like tinkering, and all the big name ones fall short in some way or the other. Well, that would be really cool. I've thought about, partnering with somebody to make tools, but I don't have really the resources to do that. But that'd be really neat. All right. You agree also, Larry. White Wolf, you'd love one to fit your hand normally because you have really small hands. Yeah, that's a good point too. You know, it's difficult to have the post so far away on this, to have such a long post. It'd be handier to have it shorter, but then again, you're getting into heat issues that make it a challenge. Tim, since you like to tinker, I created my own version of the shading point, only smaller, and I call it the Pro Point, and it's amazing and it's fantastic. And I was going to have it mass produced by Walnut Hollow, and we were in the process of that when they went out of business. And I do not have the I can't mass produce these. I'd have to make each one individually by hand. So anyway, if that's something that you might be interested in, a collaboration or something, so we can get that point out to more people, send me an email. Woodburningu, the letter U, at gmail.com. If that's something that you'd be interested in. I just took these points and modified them with a Dremel tool. But it'd be so much better to like find a way to machine them or make more of them more quickly. Let's see, Lisa, you put on a big cork piece that you ordered from Colwood to go over the pen, and it was a game changer. Cool, that's awesome. Yeah, I've heard that those cork grips are a good way to help reduce the heat on your hand. Thanks, Mina, for putting that email in there too. Jezere, half of your messages are erroring out. That's interesting. I see where you said that since you switched to the razor tip, you don't have anything to change. That's cool. White Wolf likes to use welding gloves to take away the heat. Do you lose dexterity, though, using such a big glove? Because I think that would be my challenge. Let's see, Jezere, I wonder if it might be, You okay?
Yeah, I dropped an egg.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm on the class. We could probably put it in a bowl for later.
Oh, it hit the floor. It's all over the floor.
Oh, okay. Well, probably don't want to keep it then.
Nope.
Let's see. White Wolf says you do lose dexterity. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I've got just this simple gardening glove, and that works pretty well. But I wear it mostly to help prevent accidental burns. Jezere, you use a golfing glove. Cool. Yeah. I find that I get a better grip on this Versatool. The handle is kind of slippery if I'm just using my bare hands. So I really do like the glove. I think that helps out. Rick, you're okay without gloves. Gotcha. Yeah, it depends. You know, some of the burners definitely, and the points, the different pens get hotter than others for sure. Awesome. Thanks, Mina, for putting that link in there. You can get these same type of gloves on my Amazon storefront if you're interested. Ah, cool. Sounds great, Tim. Oh, sorry, we're slightly out of camera there. So White Wolf, your hands are just really small that even it's hard to find gloves. Gotcha. And Cynthia, you like the gloves that I use. Cool. Yep, I think they are pretty handy. All right. We are coming down the back stretch on this here. And we'll finish up this pretty quickly. Come on. Oh. Vivian is asking if anyone has ever had the fingers that you hold the pen with go numb after a while. Yeah, I think so. A little bit, just, I don't know if it's like the pressure or maybe because we're holding an electrical device. I don't know. A little bit, yeah. I think I've experienced that as well. A little bit of numbness in the fingers. Yep, tinkering is a good way to keep the mind engaged. I agree, Tim. That seems a bit extreme there, Rick. I would not recommend picking up hot coals either. Terry, your wrist goes numb when using the Versatool because of the angle. Yeah, it's definitely a harsh angle to work with for long periods of time. The wrist pad helps, but it still can be a challenge. Wow, White Wolf. Yeah, that's pretty small hands if you can't grab around a clementine orange. Let's see, Lisa, you like to double up the wrist pad too? Oh, you're thinking about getting two to double up. Yeah. A lot of times I just take mine and fold it in half and make a little sandwich out of it, and that seems to be a really good angle for mine. Okay. We are almost there. Look, we're so close. Let's see. Glad that you keep trying, Terry. But yeah, definitely do what you feel is best for your hand and wrist. Barbara, you have carpal tunnel, so you take breaks often and try not to grip the burner too tight. That's a good idea, too. Vivian, that's another reason why you had to stop using the Versatool also. Thanks, Barbara. We are almost there on this black background. Rick, a lot of times you burn with the picture in your lap. Oh, wow. I did that too when I first started, but I've got neck injury and wasn't able to continue doing that. So I have an inclined desk that works pretty well. Helps try to keep my back and neck a little straighter. Okay. Let's take a look here. Alrighty, so here we go. Ta-da! Our black background is done. I'm gonna kind of fill that in a little bit later, but yay on that. Definitely need to start pulling in some of the fur around that. In fact, we can probably go ahead and start on that. I know I wanted to work on the rocks as well. So we'll kind of jump around here a little bit, but let's tone down this crazy hairdo a little bit more. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay. So for this, I think we're going to use the, probably the coal wood a little bit. But I'm going to drop it down to maybe a level 6. And where's my picture? As we start working on toning down this crazy transition here. Wait. You'd think I like tape. With all the tape there. Okay. So I'm going to start looking for some of the darker areas and trying to pull some of this darkness down into the fur. And I can use kind of the hair is pretty squiggly, so I don't have to really worry about getting a very smooth, even line. But overall, I'm just going to continue to pull the darkness more into the fur. And kind of soften up those edges a little too. thanks, Rick. Yeah, it definitely does kind of seem to glow with the when the black background is completed. It's pretty cool. Bad little piece of tape there. So any chance I can get to soften this outer edge, I'm going to just keep pulling that fur in. And that's why we made the fur extra poofy, because we will just continue to make these areas a little bit smaller and thinner and bring the darkness into the fur. You could also, you know, use a Dremel tool or something and do the opposite and kind of scratch more little hairs into the darkness. So keep that as an option as well, something to consider.
Hi, bye.
Hi. Oh, okay. Have fun.
Be there for a little bit.
Okay. Tell him hi for me. Thanks.
Very nice.
And that was weird. I don't know what happened with my camera, but it had a little issue there. Let's see. Lisa, you got your customizer and you've been using it on the art piece that you're entering for the contest. Cool. Yeah, I've seen that little detailer. Customizer is a better word. That's cool. It's kind of like a little tiny pen-sized Dremel tool, right? Something pretty small. I'm having a kind of a hard time seeing what I'm doing here. I have a pretty significant glare. See, I can see better in the camera or on the screen. I'll try to take care of some of these little wispy tips. Lisa says, yes, it is a very small, nice handheld. Requires very, 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 very light pressure. I can imagine. Yeah. Certainly can imagine. I bet it maybe kind of grinds down into the wood pretty deeply if you press too hard, maybe. Ah, gotcha. Yep. Alrighty, so let's see. You're saying that your first piece of practice was not your art piece. Gotcha. Yeah, it's a good idea. Anytime I think, you know, when you try a new technique, definitely try that on a scrap piece of wood or the back side of your project so that you don't accidentally make a big oops that you may or may not be able to fix later. So I'm going to kind of try to get this side done. It's a little bit easier for my hand shape, for my hand motion as a right-handed person to do this. That will be a difficult motion for me to get over there, so I'll probably have to turn the wood maybe upside down. But we'll we'll have kind of a little before and after as far as the difference between like copy paste, retro 80s style hairdo lion and the more realistic version that we're going for here. And so taking a step back and kind of, you know, maybe squinting your eyes to see areas that need a little more or less is good. And then I like having some of these sections be more V-shaped and kind of chunky so it doesn't have, you know how like a military person has a buzz cut and it's consistently the same edge? Well, I don't want that with this, so I can put in some more darker areas of negative space and to kind of create separation of the little hairs. But lots of layers, take your time on this. Bounce around if you find yourself creating a really repeatable pattern. Bounce around a little bit more from working here to working there. Repetition is nice, but in nature a lot of times you don't have exact patterns all the time. So if I find myself doing repetitive like little squiggles for fur, I'll jump around and kind of force myself to work on something a little bit different, a different area. And remember that you can kind of see through the upper wispy layers of the hair against the black background. So a lot of those are going to be maybe a little bit softer, darker, more shaded. So I can come in. I like the Versatool and the shading point because it makes a really soft feeling. Whereas wire tip burners can make more texture and make it look a little coarse. For me, you know, it's all how you use the tool for sure. But I'm going to come in here and soften it up some more so it's not so kind of coarse and bristly. And then any areas where I need to put in more shadow, kind of like right in here, I can do that by shading most of this area and just pushing it back into the background. Thank you, Mina, for the reminder to like and subscribe if you are enjoying the content and the channel. It's always very helpful for the algorithm of YouTube. Lisa is asking, does the back and forth and randomness also apply to eagle feathers before you start this eagle? Feathers are their own unique challenge. You can jump around a little bit if you want. Sometimes, like with feathers, I will break it down into the darkest darks first and I'll put those in. They'll be very repetitive. One of the more challenging steps for me and feathers is after I get those darks in place is the next step up, and that's your darker midtones. And there's so many repeatable lines you can kind of get lost. And so I study my reference photo, and if the light source is like from the top and it's coming down and you can see that on the reference photo, I think, okay, I just need to add a mid-tone underneath each one of those dark sections, and then that helps me to not get lost. Otherwise, I'll wind up putting the shading in the wrong place. So, like, in that case, I want to do a repeatable thing because it's a feather pattern. So, I'm like, okay, under the level 5, under the 5, under the 5, you know, under the dark, and that helps me stay on those crazy lines. So, good question. Yeah, if you have something that does have a pattern, like a fern or a spiral shell, then you'll kind of want to stay with it. But with fur, I tend to jump around a little bit more. No worries, Lisa. Yeah, most people do not get my name right. So the text thing, it struggles too. No worries. Okay, glad it makes sense, Lisa. Thanks, Truth Seeker. I appreciate the likes. So this is one of my favorite steps in any burning, is softening and blending and smoothing, and just really, it becomes very almost meditative, peaceful. I like how it goes from kind of coarse and bristly to more soft and fluffy. And if you wind up overburning an area, you can always go back in and kind of scratch out some highlights. You can see that I am still leaving some of these unburned pieces of wood in here, but I'm going to slowly start integrating more and more shading to soften the overall effect of the lion against a dark background. So, do you know the Bride of Frankenstein? She's got the big poofy dark hair with the little lightning or the white stripes along there? Doesn't that look like it right there? Those 3 bits of unburned wood. It reminds me of I think it's the Bride of Frankenstein, if I'm referencing the right thing. The big old stack of dark hair with the wavy lines there. That's what it looks like. You see it? Okay. I know a lot of times you guys see all kinds of interesting shapes and things in the project. Normally when I'm working on it right here, I don't see things like that. But when I look up at what you guys are seeing on the camera, I definitely see more of those fun areas. And all we're doing here is just more layers. Because that's the key to fur, is just lots and lots of layers. If we try to get everything done in one pass, it's going to look more flat, I think. And I find that if I try to shade everything once, I lose all those nice highlights. I don't get the unburned wood little bits in there that we need. Okay, so we're gonna do kind of like a little before and after reveal here, and then I think I'm gonna jump down and start working on some of the rock work. So here we are. Ta-da! Let me zoom out a little bit more for a bigger picture and then refocus for you. There we go. Okay, so he definitely has, it almost looks like a crown, actually. The, this side over here, it's very crown-like. So you could take this project one step further and not do a lion's mane, but you could actually burn an actual crown up there, which would be really cool too. So if you're a little bit unsure, like, I don't even know how to do this wood burning of the hair and you don't want to try it, you know, have work in Photoshop or something and put a little crown up there. I think that'd be appropriate as well. But so if we like hide that part with the mouse pad, it's looking much better. Yeah, the white strip. Yeah, I'll probably modify that later. But so hopefully that gives you a little bit of confidence to do fur against a black background and realize that you don't have to outline each and every hair. Kind of ballpark it, rough in some jagged sections, make your subject poofier than you think it needs to be, and then once you get your black background in play, then just slowly start pulling those darks more and more into the hair. Again, I love doing the soft blending at the edges because then you can actually see it's like the darkness coming through the hair, if that makes sense. So it's not a cookie cutter like that one, but that's why I made it so big, because you can see how much more of that darkness I brought down into the fur, the mane. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of leave him as is there for now, and if I can find my, there it is, thing, we can come down here and start working some more on our rock work. Just kind of jumping around here a little bit. Move this over a bit. Any one part of a project this big can become maybe a little bit tedious or monotonous if you just keep at it. I find that that's where I make mistakes a lot of times, is not stepping away and changing things up. If I get into kind of almost a mindless rhythm, it's like worse than a flow state. I love flow state where you just create, but sometimes you kind of drone on a little bit too long and you start thinking about laundry and other things that need to be done, and you, or at least I, lose a little bit of focus. So jumping around is a good way to change that up. Alrighty. Come on. Thanks, guys. Rick, you feel the same way about burning grass as you do with hair. And I would say a black background with grass in the foreground, same thing. Follow the same steps, and that will set you up pretty well. Okay, so I have the small shader here, and I'm going to kind of do a little bit of wiggle worm technique. Not crazy dark or super heavy like I did earlier on, and I was a little bit frustrated because I kind of went a bit aggressive on what I was doing. And I was working with a point that I hadn't really used before, so. Now this is one of my challenges too, is trying to stay away from that live edge. But this is that wiggle worm technique. You could even say kind of scribbling if you had a brush, a paintbrush. We're just trying to throw in some wild and crazy texture there. And then we can go to the versatile and the shading point and do the same thing. And this is going to be a lot more controlled, not near as dark. But you can see every time I did a direction change, boy, we got a lot of stop spots in there, didn't we? But with something this textured, it's really okay. But I'm going to start by really focusing on the darker sections here. Rick, sometimes you feel like you get into an anti-flow state. Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, I'm the same way. If I get like a lot of distractions, or you know, the dog needs out, or the phone rings, or text message, you know, that constant, like if you're in a group text message, oh boy, that can really cause me challenges. So I have to oftentimes mute my phone. And we can continue to work on this shadow and make it bigger across the rock. I get sidetracked. Okay, back over here. So I think Larry, he's kind of making a joke as far as being in an artistic flow state. It's kind of a sense of calm where you are able to paint or draw or create kind of quite easily, where you don't have to really overthink everything. Your art just kind of flows very smoothly, and you can kind of get lost in your art, and it's like all of a sudden an hour has gone by and it seems like time moves, I don't know, maybe faster than it does. But anyway, that's kind of a flow state, is where you're just really engrossed in your artwork and very at peace. And so Rick was talking about being in an opposite state of that, where you're probably creating art and you're not very at ease, or art is not flowing very well. Or maybe you're talking about something different. Rick, you said New York. Okay. Jezreel, yep. A very Zen-like state, you could say, as well. And so, yeah, just like burning fur, rock work is very similar, lots of layers. We have still same combination of texture and shading are two things that create pretty much most everything. The fur texture is very, you know, linear, or it can curve. The texture here is pretty random on the rocks. You get it, Larry. Gotcha. Tim, your wife says that you get in that state too much when you're at home and working in the shop. You get lost in projects and lose track of time. I think that that's really kind of a sign of an artist anyway. I know that I do the same thing, get caught up and lose track of time, and really enjoy just kind of immersing yourself in the artwork. And that's really always very fun. That's true too, White Wolf. You're talking about getting into that anti-flow state when you're trying to sit down and create, and it's just not the right time. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of demands, it seems like, on our lives, and to sit down and have a moment of peace to create can be a challenge. I'm right there with you. Okay, and then let's see, we have some smoother texture over here too. I don't know, we'll see if I add that in or not. So another one of my favorite techniques, aside from the wiggle worm, is that dot and slide. Kind of dot slide. That was a great stop spot, wasn't it? Dot slide. It's more like a comma, but anyway, it's definitely has more shading, but it's a buildup of texture with shading, for lack of a better term. But I find that that really kind of smooths out a little bit of the other texture that we put in. But just keep playing around with the combination of texture and shading. Texture and shading. That's what you need, are those two things. So in this case, I'm kind of laying down a little bit of quick texture and then smoothing things out with some shading. You can do it the opposite way and shade first and then add texture later. I do find that when I try to do shading first and texture second, I lose the unburned bits of wood. I overshade. But that's just me. Another thing you can do is create texture with shading as you go. It takes a little bit longer, but that's another way to go too. Let's see, Rick, you like to listen to Native American flute music when burning to help you get into a better mood and mindset. That is awesome. I really enjoy listening to that as well. It's been a while, but I grew up listening to that as well. Let's see. Barbara, you found some of your rock collection while redesigning your art space and you're looking forward to practicing a wood burning of them. Cool. Yeah, rocks are great. And they're so versatile, and there's so many different, oh gosh. You could write an entire wood burning texture book on rocks alone, because there's so many. You guys enjoy the Native American flute music too. Cool. I can tell that I have not done any burning here in a few weeks. I'm feeling it in my wrist tonight. Oh, Larry, you got a bag of pretty rocks at Yellowstone Park. That is so cool. I'm right there with you. Anytime that there's a gift shop or something and they have those polished rocks, man, I'd always gather always gather them, and then I'd be out for a walk, and most of the time you're walking bent over because you're looking for rocks. That's me. I'm sure I told you guys I collected so many rocks and I'd put them up on the shelf in my closet, and one night there was a terrible crash because everything came crashing down. I had way too many rocks to let's say the closet could not support the weight load of all those rocks. So Yeah, I got you, White Wolf. We're very just casual here. There's no offense meant. Yep. Native Americans, all great. Very indigenous as well. You know, there's so many different words that you can use, but we're just trying to share our love for their music, and there is no offense in there at all. So let's see, Steve, when you do wood burnings, you like to listen to hard driving rockabilly. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, anymore it seems like I have to listen to a book on tape, because my mind is always just a buzz with so many things. It's stressful sometimes, you know, just having those, just your thoughts running wild. I think it's kind of can be distracting for me when I work. So book on tape has definitely become my audio listening of choice here lately. Larry, you like Peruvian music. That's cool. Tim, you always have a pocket full of rocks. Yep. You did the same thing, Larry. Yeah. Love the rocks. We were on our private property one time, and I was like 10, and we were putting in a road for something, and there was like a petrified tree stump that got unearthed. And you know, when I was 10, it seemed like it was this big around. It was huge. Of course, I picked it up and packed it all the way down to the truck and took it home. Gotta collect rocks. In my world, I have to collect rocks. I can't. Like today, I went outside to do something and the light was just right. I'm like, oh, that's a beautiful rock. So, sure shooting, I picked it up and saved it. So White Wolf, you're kind of the opposite. You get lost in your work and crafting and burning. Your mind goes blank, so you don't listen to anything. That's cool too. Okay, so multiple layers of different techniques here. We can even put in, so we have a little kind of a chipped off area there. This seems a little bland on this side for me, and I want to redirect the viewer back up. So I can put in a little bit of a line in here, and then we're going to make it, so it's a crack or a chip, and we're going to make it a little bit wider in the middle, and then it's going to fade and get thinner on the edges. So it looks like a little chunk has been chipped off. And you can add more interesting details to the edges instead of just a line. Make it look more jaggedy. And you can fade out one area more so than the other. Just something to draw the viewer's eye back into the picture. Ah, Lynn, you're the same way too as White Wolf. You don't listen to anything. You like the complete silence. Cool. Yeah, I will notice sometimes, like if I have to work, especially on the computer, and it takes quite a bit of mental power to focus on what I'm doing, I can't listen to music, but I love the those binaural beats when you have headphones, because I have a lot of distractions here at the house, and headphones that are kind of noise canceling are really helpful. And I'll put those on, and it goes back and forth from side to side, and it's very calming, and it makes it easier for me to focus on stuff that I really have to concentrate on and get done. Oh, that's cool, Larry. That's a pretty small piece for the a paperweight for the petrified wood. Some of them are so beautiful, I agree. Lisa, you put a TV show or a movie on your tablet and you burn away generally something you've already watched a million times. Ah, cool. See, I can't do that. I'm a very visual person. And if there's something on the TV, I have to watch it. I have a hard time just listening to it. But that's really cool. It's so neat how different minds work. Hey, we're getting there, guys. I'm really hoping that we'll be close on closing in on this, these couple of areas that I wanted to get done. We got the black background done, yay! And I'm hurrying here on these rocks. We have a little bit more on that side to do too. So Larry, you have songs on your tablet. Cool. Desiree, you need something to listen to soft that you don't need to pay attention to. And you need rest to silence. Terry, you like it pretty quiet too. Cool. That's interesting. If you listen to music, you end up moving the pen or the pencil with the music. I remember an artist telling me something about that as well. They were a painter and they tried listening to classical music, but if it was going fast, they'd paint fast, and if it was slow, they'd paint slower. And so they kind of had to change that up and do something different because the music was affecting the speed of which they painted. That's very interesting. All right, so now I am adding in a few wiggle worm techniques here, kind of to change up the overall look of this. It's still very soft, not very textured, but I like that. I like this little highlight down here, so I think I'm going to leave that. All right, let's see what else we have. Hey, that's looking pretty cool on those paws. All right, let's see what we can get done on this here. All right. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the like how much of my mental input is needed on a project definitely dictates what I listen to. Typing emails and stuff is 100%, so I just do the binaural music to kind of drown out distractions. But burning is doesn't take a lot of mental energy for me, so I listen to the audiobooks and then other things on the computer work or whatever. I'm kind of in between. Okay, so still working with the shading point. This area here is quite light. It's lighter than the area that we just did over there, so I don't want to go too dark on some of our texture. Focusing on the darker areas, kind of blocking those in first. Mina, you love having music on while you burn and always reach for something soft. Working in silence just doesn't feel right to you. Gotcha. Yeah. I'm right there with you too. So more layers, more layers. Audiobooks, Larry, on Kindle. I have Kindle, but I do Audible, I think is what it's called, is Audible, because they read the books to you. And you buy, little credits or whatever. They give you a credit a month or something for a monthly fee. Anyway, I have like a lot of credits. But, yep. And I usually go for big series, like right now. I've read the physical books of the Clan of the Cave Bear series. I've read those on book format decades ago, so many times, and now I've listened to those on Audible. Yeah, Audible, probably 4 or 5 times. It helps a lot of times when I start a really big piece. I dive into these big series books. It just seems to help me really focus. And then right now I'm in the Dragon Riders of Pern. There's like 25 books right now that are on Audible, and I've read them all through, or listened to them all through at least once, and I'm on my second go around because there's like thousands of years in between that kind of span, so that's fun when I have a lot of work, big projects to do, and I need to sit and just listen to something continuous. That works really well too. Barbara, you always have work to music. What you listen to depends on what you're doing. Yeah. Yep, I agree. All right, more standard circular motion in here to break up a little bit of that. We have another crack. And I've tried listening to a few other book series, but for one reason or another, I don't seem to really stay with them. I like something that I've kind of heard before because it just makes it easier for me to maybe like, oh, okay, I remember this. And with a multi-book series, you're trying to tie characters together, and I usually forget who they are if you don't listen to them like back to back. All right, let's see. Today is the 15th. We got 10 more minutes here. Let's see. Next weekend is Memorial Day weekend already. Wow. Okay. I plan on being here next Friday, the 22nd, unless something crazy happens, and then I'll be sure to let you know. And then we have the 29th. And then June 5th would be our next one. Wow. Okay. So, cool. And the first Friday of each month, we will jump over to the study and work on that as well. So, take this time, if you have time, to work on your smooth stone projects. And you know, really, if you want to create a wood burning of any rock, you know, that's okay. But the smooth stone is a great basic study on form and light and shadow with a tiny bit of texture in there. So it's a great go back to the basics building block kind of a project. That pattern is available for all members on the Bear Den on Mighty Networks, so you get that free with your membership. If you're not on Mighty Networks, you can get that pattern project pattern on Woodburning University. It's like $5. Just, you know, helps keep the website operational. And then you can create your own version of that. It's great for just little extra practice. Jezere, you start working off to silence, but your husband is a chatty Cathy, and you just couldn't take it. I have to smile because I have a very chatty husband as well. So, hence the headphones from time to time. Not when he's talking with me, but, you know, when he's, you know, talking with somebody else or texting or something, I have to have a little bit of headphones help. Lisa is asking about a special workshop coming up. I do have in my grand plan, I have some workshops that I would love to do. I thought I could do that with coaching season, and it has totally kicked my butt. So let me regroup here. Coaching it gets done in the next 2 weeks. Let me regroup and see where we're at, and then I'll start working on finalizing details for another workshop. I'm not even gonna say what I thought it was, because plans change, and yeah, but I do have plans for a special workshop and then a master class as well. So Jezere, yep, I know those type as well. I feel for you. All right, well, I'm just kind of zooming around here, throwing in texture. So you can tell I'm moving pretty fast here, but just cover the surface of the wood with some sort of texture and get that going here. And I kind of try to keep changing up my hand positioning here because this point is pointy, and you can get a really repetitive kind of a V-shaped, upside down V-shaped pattern if you're not careful. And this down here is pretty dark, so we can do that random wiggle worm technique. So we got about 5 minutes here. Does anybody have any questions as far as anything that you're working on or general questions? Let me know. But have fun with rock texture. It is so abstract and really a joy to create. Mina, yours is the other way. Gotcha. That's great. Lisa, you did get my email. Oh, good. I am so sorry that it took a little while. Okay, the eyes are looking better. Yeah, generally, if you get into it, it's like, oof, I've made a mistake. You can sand it lightly to bring out some of those highlights again, and then start filling in the rest of the shading. Once you get that base shading in there around it, it usually kind of tones down. But when you're outlining, when you are outlining stuff to begin with, it seems too dark, and you know, any mistake or bump or misshapen line stands out really strongly. But just keep filling in, working around it. Adjust your lines a little bit more, make them a little thicker if you have to even out, because I'll do that with eyes. I'll get a wobble and I'll just go back over and carefully make that, maybe the eye a little bit bigger, or a little smaller depending on where the error is, and just keep working at it, and then it usually kind of tones down. But yeah, you're off to a great start on that. Thanks, Rick. Larry, your wife likes to stay on the phone, the opposite of you. Yeah, it's funny how we wind up marrying or being with people that are kind of opposite to us. But I think that can be a good thing as well. Larry, you're still working on a commission and another one to do after that. That is fantastic. Very good. So a lot of this elbow area is in darkness, but I'm just going to keep working on that. Good night, Terry. Have a great evening as well. Thanks, Terry. We're getting there. I'm really glad that we were able to block in most of the rock work and we got the black background done. So that is fantastic. Wow. Wait, well, if you have an uncle that can talk for 4 hours on the phone with your mom, wow. Yeah, that's amazing. If I'm on the phone, I usually have to be doing something. I have a very hard time just sitting and being on the phone. But that's a great time to fold laundry or anything like that. All right, let's zoom out and take a bird's eye view. I'm gonna have to redo my camera and get it up higher so we can see this whole project maybe once on camera. But ta-da! Most of the rock work and paws are laid in. I still have some blending and smoothing and all that to do. And then here we have Mr. Lion. He looks great. Like right there. Tip your head. He looks better that way. Anyway, here we go. So thanks for being here tonight. We will carry on next week. And again, that's my plan. I'll be here unless somebody throws a complete wrench in the plan. And then I will let you guys know. And we'll just adjust. Sometimes I'll bump the live stream to a Thursday or I can't do Thursday, maybe a Saturday. We'll try to make sure that we get you a live stream next week, one way or another. So cool. All right, thanks guys, really appreciate you being here, and I will see you hopefully next week. All right, thanks guys, good night.